Hey hot dogs, today we're going to discuss the best way to send your demos to record labels. So sending demos to record labels is one of the scariest parts of an artist's career. We submit this music that we work so hard on to these label gods who control the destiny and the fate of our careers. We have very little control over the outcome. It's also really frustrating because most of the time, labels don't respond to our demos, and sometimes they don't even listen to them at all. So I'm going to share my perspective. I run a label called Manjumasi with my partner Mark Slee and Naveen G. We've been releasing records for a few years now. We have 24 releases over digital and vinyl, and hopefully my perspective on the label side can help maximize your chances of getting your demos heard and signed. I think a great place to start is setting expectations. The numbers are not in our favor when it comes to submitting demos. At Manjumasi, we receive hundreds of demo submissions, and less than 1% of the music actually gets signed. Now, this doesn't mean that the music is bad. It could be that the music is just not the perfect sonic fit. It could be that the label is changing its musical direction. It could be that the label's pipeline is full and there's not room for new music. Or it could just be that the label manager is having a bad day and he doesn't like the way anything sounds. It's really just a question of timing and luck. That being said, don't give up. It can be a long, arduous process. It can take years to go from the point of having your first demo to your first record signed. Stick with the process. It's okay if it doesn't get signed. Try that label again down the line or try some other labels and just believe that the outcome is eventually going to work in your favor. It's just a question of when. The number one rule under all circumstances is do not ever send a mass email CCing or BCCing a bunch of labels all at once. This sends a really bad message showing that you don't really care where the music goes. It indicates that you're lazy, and it shows that you don't really want to have a personal relationship that could last for years with the right label. At Manjumasi, we try to listen to all the submissions we get, except the ones that come across as a template, CC'd, or BCC'd. Those go straight to the trash. The next one is, don't submit ideas, submit finished pieces of work. Assume that a label is receiving hundreds of demo submissions per week, and you want to do everything you can to put your best foot forward and set yourself apart from the noise. Labels don't usually have time to send feedback or creative ideas to work with you on music, so just make sure that you're putting the best possible product you can in a label manager's hands. I think the best way to get in contact with a label is through a friend, a warm introduction. I know my eyes and ears perk up a little bit more if I see an email in my inbox from a friend who's saying, hey, check out this music from person X, as opposed to someone off the street who I've never heard of before. So if you know someone who's released music on this label already, or if you have a friend who's friends with the label managers, this is a great place to start. Now, all that being said, make sure that this person is reliable and well-spoken. If you're submitting this to someone who's going to represent your music in a poor way, or if they're not even going to follow through, this is a waste of your time and an increase in your anxiety. Now, if we don't know someone who's friends with someone at the label, then we have to send a cold message. I find that email is the best method of communication with labels. You can check their website, you can check their RA page, maybe it's on their social media accounts. Send an email to the label and don't send the messages over social media because personally I find that very annoying and it's hard to keep up with sometimes. When you do email them, make sure you include a personalized message so it doesn't feel like a template. And also many labels, like Manjumasi, we want to build a personal relationship with our artists that may last for many, many years. So have a couple lines, talk about yourself, where you're from, and also explain why you want to release music with this label. If you're submitting music to a bigger label, it's really valuable to include a press kit. Big labels might love the music that you've created, but they might also be interested in the overall brand and picture. So definitely submit a press kit. And if you have a discography, you definitely want to include this as well. Before you submit your music to the label, be sure to check their back catalog, listen to the last 1 or 2 years worth of releases, and make sure that your music is a sonic fit. If they're a drum and bass label and you're submitting deep house music, it's not only a waste of their time, it's a waste of your time, and it's also going to increase your overall anxiety level because that's one rejection or one non-response that really didn't have to happen. The best way to send your music to a label is a private SoundCloud link. I get annoyed when I have huge attachments in my inbox, it clogs up my Gmail, and sometimes when I'm waiting for a track to download, I might go off and do something else, and that label submission might have fallen to the bottom of the queue or even gotten lost altogether. And make sure that the link is private. It's a really bad look if it's a public link because the goal for most labels is to market a release, to break it to the public, and to present it in the best way forward. And if that balloon has already been deflated because the music's already public, the label will probably not be interested in that music in the first place. So make sure it's private. You might be surprised how many SoundCloud links that get submitted to us are actually broken SoundCloud links, so make sure your private SoundCloud link is shared in the correct way. Click on the track and then click the share link from there, and then copy that and send that to the label. Make sure that your SoundCloud playlist or links are fresh uploads. It sends a bad message to a label if we see that the music is 6 months old and has dozens and dozens of listens on it. That kind of feels like this is music that's not that important to you, and it's maybe the sloppy seconds or the rejections from more important labels that you were trying to release with. This one we touched on a little bit, and it's be patient. Be mentally prepared that a label will take a long time or may never respond at all. Don't be that annoying guy or girl who's constantly harassing a label waiting for a response. That will drastically decrease your chances of getting music signed because no one wants to work with a high maintenance artist. So I say, submit your music, wait 2 or 3 weeks. If they don't respond after 3 weeks, just send a polite follow-up email once more. And after that point, after 1 week, if they haven't released by then just politely move on to the next label and move on with your life. No big deal. Only send 2 or 3 tracks to labels. I know on my end, if I see 8 or 10 or 15 tracks that I have to listen to, I get a little bit overwhelmed and I procrastinate that label submission. Also, I'm working with 2 other guys on the label side and we have to synchronize and collaborate our feedback. It's much easier to synchronize feedback over 2 or 3 tracks rather than a whole big body of work. Now, if you're submitting an album, that's a different story. We can save that for another conversation. But if you're looking to do a single or an EP, 2 or 3 tracks is enough. If you have a big collection of work, it's totally appropriate to say, hey, these are 2 or 3 tracks that represent my sound. Please follow up if you want to hear anything more that sounds like this. A label will really, really appreciate that, and that will increase their chances of responding to your submission. Lastly, this is a small one, but it's a little helpful on the label side to know if this is the final mix or if the track has already been mastered. We want to know if there's a little bit of polish that's left for it to sound at its maximal, fullest, greatest. So definitely do all the creative work you can to put your best foot forward. Do your best job that you possibly can for your at-home mix, but a little note or a little message saying, hey, this isn't the final mix down, or hey, this is just a pre-master, it's not a final master version, can go a little bit away in setting the groundwork for what a label is coming to expect. So I hope you found this useful. My goal is to maximize your chances of succeeding. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments. You can support me on Patreon, I have an Instagram, and I also run a Discord server where we talk about a lot of this stuff in my DJs and producers channel. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube if you want to receive more videos like this. So I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.